Twice in one day, guys. You get me. We're doing this is another live podcast, trying something a little different. This is something I really hope to continue on. This is my buddy here, Joe Christy. He is an artist. He is an avid comic book fan. He's actually someone who got me into comic books when I was middle school. Yeah, we've been friends since forever. But he got me back into comics with I think it was Uncanny X-Force and Batman's Hush Run. He get check these out. These are awesome, and I read them, and since then I've been hooked. But yeah, so this is Joe Christy. He is an artist. He does some awesome stuff, and we got some really cool things planned where we're going to be talking about my latest article from Fisherman's Tale. But at the same time, he's going to be drawing characters from Marvel UK. And the best part about this, as you get to watch him draw as we talk about it, into the show, we're going to try it through Whatnot. At a certain point, we're going to switch over to Whatnot. You can watch it here and just watch, and you can. The sketches will be available on Whatnot if people want to buy them. If not, they're going to be available. You can DM him through his IG if they don't sell through Whatnot at the end of the show, and then you can get them there. And he'll have an option to where if you'd like these sketches from some of these awesome, and shoot, I'm sure if you DM him on the side, he might even do another one for you if you want.
Yeah.
So, but Joe, you got anything you want to say?
No, it's just fun. I'm just excited to be here. Talk comics.
We're going to do a little intro.
Do what I would do anyway. All
right. All right, so Joe, if you look down you see the small screen now. He's got his camera set up over his sketch pad as he's going to be drawing, as we're going to be talking about some of these characters. If you've read my article, it was so fascinating to me to research into Marvel UK because I think if you read the article, I got excited about it because in the Eternals, at the end, there's an end scene, and Blade and Black Knight happen, and they sort of interact, and you hear the voice of Blade. And the first place that you see that happen is in Captain Britain MI13 series. So it sent me down the path of Captain Britain MI13, Marvel UK. And so I started digging into, and Captain Britain is a well-known commodity. He's very popular. He's originated in Marvel UK. If you guys don't know much about the Marvel UK stuff, Marvel UK actually came about late 80s, early 90s. But Marvel was, first off, it was just sending their books over to the UK, and they would break them up into weekly comics, and that's why the first Boba Fett actually happens months earlier in the Marvel UK because of the way it happens. First cover happens in the Marvel UK weeklies, the Empire Strikes Back weeklies, and that type of stuff. But they started creating their own Marvel characters, and one of the first ones they created is this Captain Britain. If you see the cover right there on the screen. This comes with a mask that's really hard to find. If you can find a near mint copy of this, because it's newspaper with the mask, it's several hundreds and thousands of dollars here. Not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds of dollars to thousands of dollars for a copy of this. So it's a hard book to find. Then you see there the first Captain Britain there for when he first Marvel team up with Spider-Man. That's the first time he appears in a U.S. comic. And then Excalibur is where you really get introduced to Captain Britain. Joe, what do you know? Like, what experience did you have of Captain Britain, or did you have any?
I mean, just looking at a few Excaliburs as a kid, like at Kroger or wherever, you saw a spinner rack. But really, the only thing I really remember is from those Marvel trading cards.
The like Joe Jusko style.
Yeah. I had that was like my introduction to, and I guess I probably thought he was an X-Man for a long time.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did too. I mean, and then you had his sister is Psylocke, but Betsy Braddock or whatever. Like,
yeah.
So it's sort of that tricky, like, okay, what is he, an X-Men and everything? Yeah, I'm definitely with you there. But like Captain Britain's, that's not Marvel UK. That's a known quantity that people are going to be going for. So I started going further down the rabbit hole. There's a few more UK characters that came out, and these are ones I really do like. Union Jack. There's actually 3 different Union Jacks. The first one, I mean, just like there's how many times has Batman been recreated or whatever, but it always came back to Bruce Wayne. Union Jack, he dies and then gets replaced. It's just because no one knows who's under the mask. So his first appearance is in Invaders, that great World War II from Bronze Age, where they Captain America and Submarina and Human Torch are all, and Bucky Barnes are all together, and then they run into the British version of the Captain America type team, and you had Union Jack there. But you get introduced to him when he's fighting Baron Blood, who is a Nazi vampire character.
Cool.
And this particular Union Jack actually dies after this arc. He makes it through like 3 or 4 issues, and then you meet his son takes over for him and becomes Union Jack 2. But at first he's the Destroyer and everything. But then his daughter, I believe it is Spitfire, who's super fast, and you can see her down here, copy issue 12 right there on the screen. She's Spitfire. She doesn't appear too many times through comics until you get to the Captain Britain MI13. But it's sort of cool. Peter Renner's in here watching Union Jack. Yeah, definitely. I like his costume. But one of my favorite things with Union Jack is in the 90s, John Cassaday. I think, is that how you say his name? Cassidy?
I think so. Yeah.
John Cassaday does a 3-issue Union Jack thing in the late 90s.
That's right.
And it's gorgeous. And it's all about
beautiful.
Vampires.
Yeah.
And he's fighting vampires. A lot of times Union Jack, when he appears, he's fighting vampires. And this is the 3rd Union Jack, Joey Chapman, who's some scrub or whatever who takes over, who actually ends up being the Union Jack we know from here on out. It's really good. He appears first in Captain America 253, 254. There, once again, Baron Blood being a major part of that. So Union Jack always appears with vampires. So in my twisted, messed up, this could happen world, if Blade is coming, why does Blade have to fight vampires in the United States first? Why can't Blade end up fighting vampires in the UK with Union Jack? Spitfire, who you turned it out to, she lives forever type thing, and you find out she might be part vampire in Captain Britain. So you get all these little links to where I could see it coming through Blade. So that's a lot of potential there. And man, Joe, I'm gonna throw up what you're doing. It is freaking awesome. So I'm gonna move this.
Cool. Yeah, this is a stupid ballpoint pen, a little, pilot pen, but I take it out so I can move it easier. And then it's not waterproof ink, so you can move it around with water. So just grabbing a brush and throwing the water around. It's kind of one of my go-tos in my sketchbook these days, just because I would rather draw with a brush, but it's messy, so it's easier to take a ballpoint pen somewhere. That's kind of what I'm thinking here, and just getting my Captain Britain, the first guy we were talking about. So Mesh, when you were Chris, sorry, when you were doing all this research, did you intentionally just decide to go down this really long rabbit hole because you wanted to write an article about it, or did the research, come because you were interested, and then you were like, well, this is what I have to write about?
It's everything. Usually for me, it always comes with finding a book, whether it's, so for me, I happened to be, Midtown had their 75% off sale. So I was like, and I checked out the Revolutionary War, and there's some great Mark Brooks covers, and it comes up later in the article. And I was like, okay, I want to do a little research. Let's see, when was the first appearance of these characters that are in this Revolutionary War? And so I was like, okay, let's check that out. And dug deep. And once you start digging, especially any of these articles, anytime that I'm writing, or anytime that Peter is writing an article, you before you know it, you're so far down the rabbit hole of doing this. I mean, we were sitting there talking before the show. You were talking about, as we dug a little deeper, And you said you're finding out things about some of these characters, like we talked about MI13. But when you start getting into like the Knights of the Pendragon and some of the people that wrote some of the later Captain Britain stuff and some of the different things, Alan Moore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just fascinating to think through some of our heroes of. I don't want to say indie, but like Alan Moore rewrote. I mean, how many people have Watchmen, V for Vendetta, his Swamp Thing run as being some of like the best writing there was.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nuts. As you know, I read your article and I was like, I don't know anything about any of these characters, so I just started like watching a few YouTube, like the history of Union Jack, the history of Captain Britain, and it was so. I mean, it's so hard to try and put the entire history of a comic book character who's having at least monthly adventures most of the time for 30 or 40 years into a 10-minute like summary. So it just sounds insane with the amount of times they die and then come back, and then like this time they've been reincarnated with the spirit of the Green Knight's intellect instead of his like emotion. I was so lost because it was so deep.
So what Joe just mentioned was actually Knights of the Pendragon, and it is a deep. And guys, I mean, when I did my deep research, sadly there's a lot and not a lot, but Wikipedia is where you find the basics of it, and then you go Marvel fandom, you go to the different places, but this stuff is just messed up when you look at all these different characters, and every one of these characters is a descendant or a personality or possessed by one of the Knights of the Round Table for King Arthur. They all have different personalities. And then this Sir Gawain possesses a robot. But before that, he possesses Di Thomas, who is a super Scottish detective. And then when he becomes Sir Gawain, he has a completely different accent and is Super Knight or whatever. And it really shows up when you do the Revolutionary War story from the mid-2010s. But I don't know. It's really cool. And I love looking at, especially the first series. Knights of Pendragon actually had 2 series. Early 80s was probably the first Marvel UK that really happened. And it was this Knights of the Pendragon. And that's where you get the first appearance of most of these characters. Like Union Jack was there. He had already been created, but Captain Britain had. But a lot of these other people, it's the first time you meet them is in issue 1. One of the things they when you read about this stuff is they wanted to attack politics. They wanted to attack real things that were going on at the time. They even chose to have the paper be socially conscious recycled paper, which is just like the extra little bits. It makes it even a cooler book to me. But then when you look at these covers, these top 4 covers are insane. There's one in here. It is almost a House of Secrets 92 Swamp Thing homage, but it's a scary freaking bad guy stalking a woman looking, and it's just like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And then you get a great John Bolton cover for issue 10, which is I think the first appearance of Albion, who is a major player in a couple of arcs. And
is that blue like demon?
Yeah,
thing
the blue demon. You're like, what the
with
heck?
the cave painting behind it? Oh man, yeah, I'd never seen that.
Yeah, and John Bolton's one of those guys. You don't realize how many cool painted covers he has, and then you're like, oh, he did that one too.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But then you get to the second run, and it's all straight. Hey, let's bring in guest stars like Iron Man and Spider-Man and the X-Men and include them, and the covers just look like 90s covers. I mean, it's just so bad. There's no way to say, like, even though the 90s gave us some of our favorite artists and their stuff they did, sometimes you're like, okay, how big the muscles can be.
How many patches can you put on there?
But and the Knights of Pendragon are tame in comparison to Mystech and to the Marvel UK when it fully got started with this mystical organization that in 987 AD, a bunch of guys wanted to be all powerful, so they prayed to the immortality gods, and Mephisto said, "Hey, I'll strike a deal. You get immortality, and you give me souls." So I love that. Muscles on top of muscles is what Rena says.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's just amazing when you start thinking of stuff. So we got to the Warheads is the first sort of where you get introduced to Mystech, and the Warheads are bad guys. Excuse me. And they go, and that's where you get, and they're the Mystech brigade or whatever, and they go through and they go to these different worlds and they learn how to travel through time, searching for souls and power and all this stuff. But what is Marvel UK? Let's invite the X-Men. Why on earth is Wolverine in the UK? Who knows?
Right. This is the 90s. Wolverine was everywhere.
But looking at there, I love how when you think of the future, in the 90s saw of the future, they always thought of less clothes and more metal.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm looking at these covers, I'm like, the girls had these high swimsuit type clothes on, and then gun belts and giant shoulder pads of metal
and weird headbands.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's so bad. Then the next one is sort of, you have Hell's Angel, who my favorite part of why I would love to own issue 1 of Hell's Angel is not because of first appearance, even though it happens here in the book, is because they had to change the name of the character because the motorcycle gang, the Hell's Angels, sued him.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
So in issue, I think 6, they changed her name to Dark Angel, but for the first 5 issues of Hell's Angel, it was Hell's Angel, and then they had to change her name. So that makes it even better. And then once again, Wolverine's on the cover, and Cyclops with all his muscles is sitting there flexing. So it's just fun.
Yeah.
And then
have you read any of these?
I haven't read, though. I've read the Revolutionary War, and I tried starting to read some of these. The funny thing is, these are hard to find online unless you go to some of those like sketchy sites.
Yeah.
So like I have a Marvel Unlimited subscription, and they weren't available. I've had Death Heads before with this one right here, which Death's Head 2 volume or character 2 or whatever is the one that actually started off the Marvel UK. I didn't realize that. I got someone on Facebook was nice enough to help me figure out, okay, I got to get them in the right order if I want to talk about them. But
right,
this first Death Head actually got his start in Transformers. And it's sort of cool. The stuff they say is the guy who created Death's Head was so concerned with losing the ownership that Hasbro, the Transformers, he'd be sucked into the Transformers world. He was like, he only did a couple, and then he started dropping his stories in other comics just so Death's Head wouldn't belong just to the Transformers world. So it's sort of a cool little fact. But if you want the first appearance of Death's Head, it's Transformers 113 from the UK Weekly. And then I think there's a couple later covers that have him on the Death Head on the cover. But the Marvel UK stuff, you can find in dollar bins you can probably find it for 50-cent bins. Yeah. It is a super cheap book. The one I did find the other day, and I read it, and it's so bad. It's this one called Motor Mouth. First off, if you look at the cover, it's straight up Beyond Thunderdome. I mean, like looking characters, which you sound exciting, but the words on this cover say Motor Mouth warps right into the fashion police.
Hey, Nick Fury though.
Yeah, Nick Fury's in there. But Nick Fury's like checking up. The Mystech Corporation has created super sneakers that allow her, if you have the right DNA, you get to transport to different planets or dimensions. So they give her the shoes because she has the right DNA, and then they kill the creators of the shoes. So she's the only person with the shoes. So she has these super Reebok pump them up Reeboks air pumps or whatever.
D Brown got to be the shoes.
And the first planet the dimension she ends up in is the fashion police is after her, and they look like rejects from the Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so, there's a lot of like dominatrix going on in the future too.
Yeah, well, and then the other person you get introduced to in the comic is Kill Power. I mean, it's a the muscles are just coming out of his arms, and he has a gun on top of a knife on top of him. It's what every little middle school boy drew.
Right.
Like when you say, I get to draw guns, and it wouldn't be cool if they had not just a Rambo knife, but like a Rambo knife Beretta. I mean, it's like what? So, but no, it was fun digging through it, and then you get to the Revolutionary. This is what I've been talking about. They got me hooked. These Mark Brooks covers are awesome. Mark Brooks is one of those guys. Sometimes I love his stuff. Sometimes you go, okay, where's the filter that you keep choosing sepia tone? But this was, I do like these covers, and I like the fact they all, because whenever you have the same artist do the entire series, it's really cool. These are just a bunch of one shots, and each one builds on the next one. So you start with Alpha, and then you go through the different ones in the series, and then each one of them had incentives that came with them. And this is where the first 3 or 4 of them had 1 for 25s, but then like the last 2 or 3 in the series, there were 1 for 50s. So 16,000 to 14,000 issues were ordered. So you're talking 300-400 of these issues floating around back 6-7 years ago. This Death Head 2, Liam Sharp, it's amazing. Both of the Warheads covers and Death Head 2 incentive covers, like I want to track them down. They're hard to track down because they don't exist on eBay. The Warheads one I've seen on eBay a little bit, but it reminds me of Predator, and it reminds me of
Aliens.
It looks like Ripley in the armor. Yeah. I mean, know they stole that when they did it.
Oh yeah.
I love it. Like, Peter, who's a great digger like myself, he found some digging through it. I mean, you can find them cheap, but just knowing how rare they are is where it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this cover. This Liam Sharp cover is ridiculous. And then a couple of other ones. I picked up a couple of them. I would love to find that one. And then the Liam Sharp is actually the original artist to Death Head 2. There's now Death Head 3, but I think Death Head 2 is everyone's favorite, from what I can tell. But he looks like a couple of these issues look like they came right out of the Predator comic. But yeah, I'm gonna throw your art up there because I see you're chugging along here. I want to see what else you got going on. Who are you working on now?
This is Death Head 2. Predator. Yeah, it's a pretty good design. It's still got a lot of that like 90s we'll just put everything in, kind of like Jim Lee's X-Men kind of thing going on. But it's pretty fun. It's fun to draw. This is a parallel pin. This is what Jock uses. So if you want to jock it up, you just start to use because it's flat and thin. You can use both. So I'll try it. Do you know much about this character, Mesh? Like, do you know why he has this melty skull thing? Is it a mask? I couldn't really tell. But it's wild.
Get ready to go through. We got a few more things to talk about for the Marvel UK. It's ridiculous. My final and favorite part of the Marvel UK is these ridiculous last couple of characters they created. They actually created a character called Die Cut, and his first cover was a die cut cover. And like the Image Comics had that, but Marvel really didn't do it. But they created a character called Die Cut. His first appearance happened in Death Head 2, and Die Cut is the title. It's a foil cover, super shiny chromium cover that you can find in dollar bins today. And then you can find die cut, and it's a giant slice through the cover. And then finally they have die cut versus G-Force. And these guys only basically had like 2 comics, 3 comics amongst them. So it's just sort of fun little thing. So I love digging through the Marvel UK and looking at some of the stuff. It's always sort of fun because, especially when you start doing these things early, you can go, okay, maybe you find them in dollar bins and you just want to talk about them and share what you find. And maybe, yeah, you want to build up interest, but like sitting here watching you draw Death's Head is really cool. And when I wrote these articles and I posted it in a Facebook group and I wrote it on the site, the number of people that came out is fondly remembering, but also being glad that I didn't just bash this time, because there were some really cool, even though I did on the video probably a little more. People fondly remember Death's Head. They don't like the first one as much as they like the second one. And I'm going to go back and read it because after hearing people's fandom happen, it's pretty awesome. So I love watching you do. Guys, we're about to jump in. He's done 2 sketches. He'll probably end up doing a 3rd one as we talk. Guys, some of the things else we're going to talk about today, that was just covering the article from Fisherman's Tale. I had a great week at the local comic book shop. And one of the favorite things, I don't know how many of you guys have ever had this happen, where you become a regular. You go to your store, you go often enough, but you also have those stores that are a little bit more outside your circle. You might only hit them once a month, once every 2 months, and that's what this week was. I happened to hit a shop that I only hit every couple months, and they had a Black Friday sale on Black Friday, and they had a bunch of new boxes underneath their tables, and so I just asked. It doesn't hurt to ask. I was like, "Hey, these boxes on the table, can I go through them?" And the guy said yes. And I started digging, and either this was a new collection and he forgot it was a new collection, but I started digging through these boxes, and I walked out of there with 160 books. And I'm going to sell you some of these 160 books. Some of them I'm keeping because they're books I never have had a chance to grab. One of them that I grabbed out of the boxes was an entire run of Next Men, so including 21. I never ever find this in the wild, and I did for the first time in my 10 years of hunting. I found it in the wild in a complete run of Next Men. So I also found issue 14. I have that in here as well. That is not for sale. Now, if we hit 70 members, I might, in the whatnot thing, might consider throwing it up there for sale. But let me start getting this. I'm gonna throw Joe up here. He's gonna sort of talk to you about what he's doing, and I'm gonna get the whatnot started. And we're gonna have the whatnot going at the same time, so you can bid. And I'll show you the books on the YouTube that I'm talking about, and then we're also gonna be selling them here on whatnot. We're gonna try this. This might be a failure. I'm only gonna have 10 or so tries at selling. I'm not gonna sell a bunch, but we're also gonna throw
a lot going on at once, man.
Yeah, we're also gonna have Joe's 2 to 3 sketches that he's been working on. We're gonna have those for sale at the whatnot. If they don't sell, now we're not gonna start them at $1. That's just not possible because he's an artist. I want to respect his value. I'm a new creator as far as podcasting goes, so that's not. But it's going to be fair and reasonable prices. That if you want a sketch from an artist doing a character that you might have wanted, you might not have even known you wanted, but you've seen how awesome it is, and it's always fun. You can always go back and watch the video of him drawing it because you got to watch it. So I'm gonna throw him up on the screen, and he's gonna talk to you.
Yeah, I can do that. So this is Death's Head 2, I guess. I don't really know that much about it. Again, mostly I know these characters from Marvel trading cards from when we were younger humans. This is just Speedball India ink into a parallel pen, and then I've got some water over here, and I'm just trying to come in, add some of these middle values so I can make those eyes glow a little bit more. Also, then I get to draw the brush, which I like doing a lot more than the line of a pen. I'm a painter, really. Trying to jump into a little bit more illustration work if I can keep it free, like the freedom for me. So I just kind of make a mess the first little bit with the pen. Now I'm coming in and trying to clean up some of those messy things, but also trying to keep it really loose. I'm just got this is a glass tabletop, so I can throw things all over it, and it's really easy to clean up. So that's what I'm doing now, is just throwing some ink on top.
If you're following me here, I'm actually trying something different, and this might be a big failure, and I'm not going to do this again if it's a big failure. I'm going to try to run a whatnot auction at the same time I'm on YouTube. So if you're in there right now and you're on whatnot and you're trying to see what the hell is going on, I got an auction going on whatnot. I got a podcast going on YouTube. The reason I'm doing this is I'm working with an artist right now, and the artist is on YouTube, guys. And his name is Joe Christy, and he is drawing and sketching. And we're actually going to sell these sketches on whatnot, and you have a chance to bid on those. But right now, the first auction that I have, and I'm going to show the books on both places. I have them sort of already up, but I'll show them on YouTube as well, is a Thundercats Masters of the Universe. Guys, I had this great pickup, and I picked up a bunch of books. So I'm going to be selling to you in a lot. So some random Thundercats issues. This one's called Thundercats Hammerhand's Revenge, issue 2. Just sort of fun. I have He-Man, Rise of the Snake Men. I have Masters of the Universe number 6. This is that weird MCVU cover. I have Thundercats, 2 books of Thundercats. Thundercats Dogs of War 1 and Thundercats Dogs of War 2. So I'm throwing all of these up. And if you're on the Whatnot app, all 5 of these books. And I'll have them up there, and you can bid on them as soon as I hit the button. Let's see here. I'm going to start the auction, and I'm going to have it going for, let's see here. Let's try if I can get this set up. If I can find where the button is. There it is. I'm going to have it at $5, $1 an issue. Let's see if anyone wants any of these books. Five issues here. Going. It's Thundercats Dog of War, Thundercats 1 and 2 Dog of War, Masters of the Universe, and Snake Men, and Thundercats Hammerhand's Revenge. So just random sort of books I found. If you're interested in those, they're on the Whatnot app. You can check them out, guys. If you're on Whatnot, you can always check out the YouTube channel. If you go search for 3 Comic Talk on YouTube, you'll find the live stream that's happening right now as we talk. Trying this out, see if this is something that interests you. If not, that is perfectly fine. I'm okay holding on to these books. I just thought they were really cool covers. I love this Dogs of War cover. It is fantastic. And then this Masters of the Universe 6 was a gorgeous cover as well. And Joe is over here killing it on the YouTube channel. He's doing this great Death Head sketch. I sadly cannot, because he's not in the house with me, in the room with me, I cannot show that on the Whatnot. You have to go to the YouTube to check it out. Or you can just trust me that it's a gorgeous thing and take a bid on it when it comes up. But we have that going right now. We are looking at, and let's see if anyone has been interested in it. And looks like I have 0 bids. What do you know? I chose the comics that no one cares about, which is perfectly okay. Let's find something else. Maybe some people are out there and they're interested in something a little different. I do have some She-Hulk comics that I picked up. So maybe She-Hulk is something more along the lines of what people are interested in. So I'm going to throw this up here. It is so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different She-Hulk books. She-Hulk is some popular betting on her right now. Let me get this up and running. It is definitely challenging juggling both of these.
I bet.
So let me get this. So, Joe, we're talking about Masters of the Universe and Thundercats. Were you a big '80s kid?
Uh, yeah. I mean, I was born the same year you were, old man.
But
But
some
I,
people are like,
I was sort of into Thundercats, but really GI Joe and Star Wars was my thing.
okay,
That was all the. I mean, I had a couple Thundercats, I had a couple Transformers, but it was mostly all about the toys for me and my brothers. So Dad understood the GI Joe and the Star Wars a lot better than he did Lion-O. So that's what
yeah.
we got. And that's what we loved anyway. So, were you big into Thundercats?
Uh, I, I, I think I was big into He-Man. Thundercats wasn't quite as big for me.
Yeah,
So
I was into He-Man for like a year.
yeah. So guys, She-Hulk is up and running. It is once again $1 an issue. You have 5 different issues to bid on. You have issue 4. This is all from the Dan Slott run. It's the Great Deodato covers from 31. The weird one with the android head guy that doesn't have She-Hulk on the cover. Issue 30. Issue 30. Let's see. 35. Issue 30. 30. Some just great covers. All 5 of them. You can have them for $5 if you want them. Might be something up your alley. If not, that's perfectly fine. But juggling a little bit of this. It doesn't look like Whatnot's taking off, which is okay. And then we can just sit and talk comics for the next 20 minutes or so. I can talk about the other books I picked up because, guys, I'm so excited about these books. I would much rather hold on to them and then spend all this time on the Whatnot app trying to juggle it, and I'm realizing that this is not the best thing. I do have someone actually wanting these She-Hulk books, which is great. I think there's a lot of spec there. Do you have Disney Plus, Joe? Do you watch the shows?
Yeah.
All right, I got a winner. So
Nice.
I got a winner for the She-Hulk, which is great. So I did make one sale. I'm making $5, guys.
Nice.
I'm doing well. Let's try this again. Let's throw up another thing. Let's see. Ooh, this is sort of a fun spec. This is a little ridiculous. Have you heard about the spec on these new Avengers books? Well, they're not new. Because someone somewhere thinks that the Black Panther's son could be the next Black Panther, who you didn't meet in the movie, but there might be. So the Avengers series from the Heroic Age, people start specking on.
No,
and
have not heard this.
In issue 1, you see an image. It's a cameo, but there's no one named. And then issue 6, which I have right here, you actually get like 7, 8, 9, 10 panels of the Next Avengers, which is like Black Panther's kid, and it's so I have issues 4 and 6 from that run I found in this lot. So let me add this in, and it's a little nuts to think about it. Like, I don't know, you might have caught, did you remember there was a movie that came out called the Next Avengers. It came out it was a cartoon movie back when no one really paid attention.
Right.
And these characters came out probably, I guess, right after this comic came out, and it was really cool to watch. I liked it. It was when Marvel was trying to do animation, they were okay at it. They weren't great. DC, of course, went above and beyond. They've conquered animation. If they can only figure out how to do real movies.
Yeah, no kidding.
But they did a fantastic job with this one. You got like Captain America and I think it was Black Widow had a kid together, and then like little things like that. So they had them all, those types of things. So what I have here, guys, is this Avengers lot, 2 issues. I'm gonna start this. Since it's only 2 issues, let's go back and do $2. And let's see if anyone's interested in these Avengers books. So you get Avengers 4 and Avengers 6. 2 great conditioned issues. They look great. I'm excited about them. But I don't know. It's one of those weird. It's Ramita does the covers, and you know how Ramita is an acquired taste. You either really like it, or you start questioning yourself. Junior, not senior. Everyone loves senior. You're trying to. All of a sudden, Joe's on screen. I'm like, what? So, but yeah. So this is a great, like I said, issue 6 is where you actually get to meet them. They're not named till much later, but you get to see their team on 7 or 8 panels. So it's a full first appearance. Joe stepped out for a minute as he's adjusting his phone. He's still working on those sketches, but looks like we have a winner for one. All right, we got another winner, $2 for one bid. Good job, and we'll see how it's going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not sure how auction's going. I'm gonna see. I only have 2 people in here, so I'm probably actually gonna stop doing the whatnot, guys. It is not successful. Not because I'm not selling as much as it's just too hard to juggle both. Thank you guys that are in whatnot. I will get your books out to you, and we'll take care of all this. I'm gonna end the show, and Joe is back with us now, adding you to the stream. Joe, I've decided that the auction style whatnot at the same time is not going to work. I've dropped that.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's too much. I just want to talk comics with you. I'll still show some of my pickups because I'm so excited about my pickups. It's always fun. It's always fun when you have them. Let's see. So some of the stuff I picked up. This is fun. This is you remember Image combined with, and they had a bunch of these come through where the new Image characters would partner up with a bad guy, or not bad guy, a Marvel character. So you had was it? So this one is Rune and Venom. Rune versus Venom. So I found that. That was a fun find. Then I was excited about this one. Just a random issue of Philadelphia. But this is Philadelphia issue number 4. That is going for $15 to $20. Those early issues of Philadelphia, when you find them, are well worth the investment. Then I also found a run. Evidently they'd gone through the box and they pulled the last issue of Power Girl, which is worth like $7,500. But they left some of these other ones that are each like $5-6 books. So I mean, not bad. Great covers for Power Girl. I usually don't collect Power Girl. I've had this run a couple of times. You can sell it as a lot, and it does fairly well. One She-Hulk book I did not list and did not show because it's one I'm keeping for myself. Is this one called Cosmic Collision? See it there. Never have seen this before. I've looked for it before. It's a hard one to find. It's one of those. There's a bunch of random obscure books like that are small, low printed. Another set I got is West Coast Avengers, the new series. So my favorite cover is this is the second print of issue 1. Great Tigra cover, gorgeous cover. It's low printed, hard to find. Then I got issue 2, where there's another great Tiger cover, and then I got the variant with Hawkeye on the cover. So it's sort of just some of that stuff sort of fun to pick up. Everything like that. I picked up Shadecraft number 1. Did you check out Shadecraft when it came out?
I read the first issue.
You read the first issue? It has potential. For everything I heard, said it was actually already optioned, like before it even released.
Yeah, I read that too.
This was something I usually don't pick these. This is a Mike Morello pickup. I usually don't pick this up, but this is Red Sonja. Yeah, but this is not on Dynamite. This is not Marvel. This is Cross Plains Comics. It's a one-shot Red Sonja book. Never seen this before. This thing is beautiful. Beautiful cover. It's by Roy Thomas and Steve Lytle. I guess how you say it. I mean, I see his name everywhere. I can never figure out how to say it. But it came out in 1999. It's a great little book. Hard to find. Sells from anywhere from... I saw one sell for $5, and I see them sell for $50, depending on condition. Condition I found is a really good condition. For the holidays, I got to actually make myself full screen here. This is Blade and Santa Claus as a vampire. This is awesome. It's such a cool cover. I was so excited to find that, and not that I was looking for it. So, Joe, I see right now you're actually said, forget Marvel UK. I'm gonna draw my favorite character.
Yeah, I had to get a Batman in before the time was over.
Oh yeah. Which I mean,
although I should have drawn Santa Claus, he looked pretty awesome in that cover.
So, You're over here working on Batman. I'm gonna take myself.
You still there?
So Joe's sitting there working, drawing Batman, doing a good job here. So who of your Batman artists, who would be your favorite?
That's hard.
Are you
I mean,
Kelly Jones man?
I love Kelly Jones. Those long ears. I've really been into the Mitch Gerard's version of Batman. I really liked the stuff he did with Tom King. But I mean, Jock is probably King,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Frank Miller stuff, of course. All the Frank Miller stuff.
Is it Frank Miller because of the art or because of the writing?
I mean, I like his early stuff.
Yeah.
The art is great.
What, you didn't like Dark Race 3 or whatever that was?
I didn't. I did not. I wanted to. I really wanted to.
Yeah.
Year One is probably my favorite Batman thing of all time. Not, he wrote that, so that probably sways some of my judgment. But yeah, Jock, I'm really super excited about his new thing, One Dark Night. It's coming out.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, was it The Imposter? Oh no, you named it One Dark Night.
Yeah. Imposter's good too, though. I'm actually so happy with the Black Label Batman stuff. I've kind of stopped getting the regular Batman title and Detective too, and I'm just picking up the miniseries stuff. It seems to be more in line with the Batman that I know.
Yeah. Well, it seems like at least the Batman when Tynion's run, he's just got really obsessed with creating new characters.
Yeah.
Like he went on like what every third issue was like a new, from Punchline on. It was because it sold. I mean, I don't know if it was his choice or if it was
or the editorial was like, hey, we need to do this. I don't know either, but I mean, he's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of that was really Substack taken off, or I mean, I didn't really enjoy any of that. I tried to, like, I wanted to. You know how much I love Batman. I wanted to like all those. I picked up Punchline because I get it. I get it in my box at the local comic shop. But I sold the Punchline when it was hot for like $100, and I paid for all my comics for months. So that was good, but it's maybe the only good thing that I enjoyed about his run. And I'm on the fence about the new one.
Yeah, what it just came out this Wednesday, 118.
Yeah,
with Josh Williamson.
Yeah, and I like him. Okay.
Yeah.
He seems to be wanting to get back to. I read it already. He seems to be wanting to get back to some roots, but he was really nice to James Tynion, because those last, and for let's keep the story going. It's got to continue, but that book is almost in 2 acts. Where the first act is him like sewing up all of the stuff that Tynion left, kind of just in the wind. And then him like kind of starting his own thing. And the art's pretty good. It's really clean and it's nice. But I don't know that I'm going to look forward to that as much as I do Jock or Jeff Lemire writing, some Batman thing. Did you check out that Imposter?
I have not. I got turned off to I haven't read Batman in probably. It's been over probably 2 years that I've read, like, in whatever's the modern Batman that came out. I guess it was halfway through, around 24, 25, when the Catwoman and Bruce Wayne were starting to cook up. I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. The Tom King run is very hit and miss. Like, there were parts of it I loved and parts of it that I was like, wow, that is terrible. How can these issues be so great? And I think I think it was just biting off more than anybody should ever chew. He wanted to do like 100 issues or whatever, and they wanted him to, and that's so much writing and so much like having to work with so many artists to stay on schedule, and like it just, some of it seemed hastily written, and then some of it seemed like, oh, he really got it. So I like that run. I don't think I like it as much as the Snyder run, but
Yeah. Well, and that's the hard thing for me too, because like I said, you got me back into reading in the Snyder run, picking up with Black Mirror.
yeah.
Like from there on, like that Snyder run was great. Even when it wasn't great, it was still great.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, like the entire Mr. Bloom, all that stuff was like good. I like him as a character, but I didn't like it that it wasn't Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, but I do like issue 44 because it's Jock.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was still good. It just wasn't quite. So, but no. I mean, I don't know. I'm more of. I mean, you know this. I'm a Spider-Man guy. Everyone that ever watches me knows that I'm a Spider-Man guy. But
you definitely
are. But actually, I've become more of an indie guy. Like James Tynion, I like his indie stuff. But I never read Batman Eternal. I never that's just
I didn't either.
So I mean, even though it had some, did Eternal have Finch on the covers or Tomasi? No.
I'm
trying to think.
I
don't
even know who it is.
It was gorgeous covers.
I only own one of those because it's got a first appearance in it.
So, Joe, we're about to wrap up. You've done 3 sketches.
At least.
Whatnot did not work out. But I want everyone to have a chance that watches this over the next 3 or 4 days, that they want to buy one of the sketches that they saw you do. How can they get a hold of you, and what's the price you're going to put on the sketches for them?
Oh, they'll probably be like $15. I mean, I would have been sitting here doing this tonight anyway. And you can find me on Instagram at Joseph B. Christie, Christy. And that's my painting account, but just you can talk to me there.
So, Joseph B. Christie on Instagram. You hit him up there. He is going to be posting each one of these pictures, and you can DM him, and he'll tell when it's sold. $15. You can grab one of those sketches. And I'm sure if you DM him and say, "Hey, man, can you try this?" He'll be willing to try it, I assume. Maybe not. Yeah. Don't ask him to draw Care Bears because he might not do Care Bears. But also,
Care Bears.
I mean, but if you want to see what Joe actually does for art, right behind my bald head here, that astronaut is a Joseph Christie painting. He did for me back, man, that was when I moved into over here at the house. So that would have been 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. And I think it might have been older than that. Yeah.
So Joe is a great artist. He loves drawing Batman especially, but he's dabbling in comics. He's doing a little bit here and there. Guys, we're gonna be trying this again. I'm ditching Whatnot. Whatnot as a platform is great. You can't do 2 things at once. So right. I'm dropping Whatnot. We're gonna come back. We're gonna hit up next week. Look at my next article that it's gonna come out on Sunday. We'll get together probably either. I would like to continue this to be a Thursday type thing that we get together and Joe draws and talks about what, and we'll focus on whatever the next topic is, and we'll just talk about. Maybe I have some cool pickups to show you. Maybe there's some cool things to talk about. I might even cover some of the new releases coming out next week, just to sort of throw them up there because there's some pretty cool books coming out next week. Maybe I can I'll actually mention a few of them right now. If you guys haven't been paying attention, just to give you a head start to look out. Maybe talk to your comic shop to see, hey, this is what I'm interested in. What sounds good to me. But there's a couple of good books coming out that I think have potential. But there are not a lot of books coming out. It's an easy, light week for you. There's Batgirls and I Am Batman coming out that have incentives that might be sort of fun. Berserker. Joe, did you read Berserker?
Is that Keanu?
Yeah, Keanu's book.
Yeah, it's good.
Is it? See, I gave up after issue 1.
I just Keanu doing Old Guard, and I was like, yeah, I can do that.
I think I got burned out on the publicity of it all. The publicity of it all, the trying to sell 600,000 copies of issue 1, all that type of stuff. It's just like the burnout of the oversell. Yeah. I mean, it felt like Death of Superman. Like,
yeah, it's bad when you like turn on anything and there's Keanu trying to sell you a comic, and you're like, what?
No,
I
I'd much
don't
rather
need-
like to hear the stories of him
Yeah.
like buying someone groceries or those stuff.
Yeah.
Like those are the stories I'd much rather hear. But Joe, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for drawing and sharing some of your skill. I'm getting to watch you draw. I mean, I've seen you draw before, but it's so much more fun to watch you draw it here on camera and have some people watching get a chance to do that. Guys, this is CBSI. This is comicbookinvest.com. I'm Chris Nelms. Joseph Christie's doing the drawing. This was a good show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We will catch you next time.
All right. Thanks.